afternoon, daytime. It could be early Saturday, depending on where you're coming from. How's it going? What's going on? What we got? What we got? We're going to see what we're going to do. This stuff lined up. Give me just a second to get this thing. Okay, now we got it. Time to come back. It's gonna be a pretty simple question. It's not gonna be that deep. And the game starts soon. Now that's just a pretty. I'll be here for a little while. See if I get any action. A lot going on. A lot going on. A lot to digest. So we're gonna see what we're working with. Very much so. So we're gonna find out what we're working with. This should be very interesting. People got to say about this poll. I imagine this poll gonna be real interesting. We are live and in color. Game 6 in New York's gonna start soon. So the Celtics and the Knicks. Jason Tatum is an interesting storyline. Is he pretty polarizing? Depends on how you look at it. I think he's a really good player. I don't know if I consider him great. I just think that there's something missing, and there's something missing with the dynamic with him and Jalen Brown. I call them the law firm, but when they hit, they hit. But when they don't, they off. And I just can't quite put my finger on it. I just think it's something is missing. But um, big game in New York. The Knicks win. They play the Pacers to start the Eastern Conference Finals. If they lose, they go back to Boston for Game 7. It's gonna be crazy. Pressure's on the Knicks though. But this is gonna be the second game without Tatum, and the Celtics look really good the other night. So we're gonna see if they can keep it going. So let me know what you think as we get to talking about. What's happening? Okay, Calvin, I'll restart. What's happening, Jack? How you doing? I gotta say Raid because it was a little bit more original. I did like Take Me to the Next Phase, but it's because it reminded me of Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again by Sly and the Family Stone because of that bass and the vocals. I did like the groove of it. It was during that 3+3 era, but something about Raid kind of hit roller skating. And it actually had like a little rap in the style, so I kind of like where Raid was going. But that's a good question, though. That's a good battle of funk right there because it's really old school, new school funk when you think about it. Can you hear me or no? Is that better? Let me know if you can hear me good. There may be some glitches. Give me a one if you can hear me okay. Okay, good. I had to make some adjustments. But yeah, excuse me. Raid, that's a good question too. that's a true funkster. I gotta give it to you there. You a funkster for real because you asked me old school, new, and that's a good balance of the two. That Lakeside sound had that new funk, the way they did their vocals, but and then the Ozzy Brothers had that old school. So I like how you did that. That's a good mix. That's a good mix. That's a good battle question there. One of my favorite battle questions you've asked me, if I must be honest. One of my favorites. That might be top three or four because I wasn't expecting that one. That's a good one. Right now, 50-50 about these Celtics. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to the comments on that. If you're a basketball fan, I didn't really go on about Jamal Murray, but they did beat. They won. He was ailing, but they came, but they won. Everybody is sick, but you know, let's say if you're sick, don't play. And if you're out there playing, you're playing. So it was a big win. Game seven with OKC and Denver coming up in a couple, so we'll see. A couple of days. I think Denver's got more pressure than OKC though, if I'm honest. Tonight's all about New York because it's like if y'all don't finish it up tonight, anything can happen in Game Seven. And the Celtics are notorious for Game Sevens, as you know. All right, what's the happenings? Let's keep it going. Let's get some conversation going because I'll be on here as long as oh, I'm taking Houdini, and that's not even one of my favorite DMC songs. And I'll be honest with you, I was more of a Houdini fan, even though Run DMC is better overall. I mean, the impact is more, but One Love was my jam. You got to come up with a strong cut against One Love for me. How did you know though? You picked the right song too on that one. Look at just to have just one love, one love. It's almost like you've been reading my musical DNA. Only certain people know how much I like Houdini. Houdini was one of my favorite groups. They'll never get no love though. I think they're one of the 10 best hip hop groups ever. But DMC is kind of like the Temptations, like the Jackson 5 Beatle type of thing, like Earth, Wind, and Fire. In terms of hip hop, they were the standards. If Outkast had a stayed around, that'd have been a good battle. And that might be a battle for another day. But they can't be. They didn't have the cultural impact DMC did. That's the only thing that keeps them from that because, yeah, but I'm just saying that I don't really talk a lot about hip hop per se. I don't really talk about. I mean, like they shared the same producer, Larry Smith, who gets no love. That cat produced those. He was a bass player. He worked with Curtis Blow. He gets no love. Yeah, same era, but no, it's still good and refreshing though, because I like that first question a lot. I mean, when you mentioned Raid and Take Me to the Next Phase, and I had to sit there and think about the grooves in my head because that was the old and the new, but yet it was funky, but just the way it was presented. So I'm just giving you that. That's all. No, you'd be surprised. There are people from the eras and they don't know half the stuff unless it's hip hop. I'm just keeping it 100. They don't talk about the R&B and the funk. They don't talk about the R&B and the grooves. They don't. They don't. I don't know who you've encountered, but in my encounters, it's almost like that whole era just became hip hop and they forgot all about what they knew. See, I know you know. I know you. You'll ask me, yeah. You'll be the kind of person that'll say Leon Silver's Teddy Riley and Larry Smith and Kashif. Mm-hmm. And so I get that. I like that. some people out here, man, after Teddy Riley took over, it just went like they don't remember nothing. I deal with that a lot, and I did like Guy and all that. I liked all that because I lived in Virginia, and he was coming from Virginia Beach. Just coming when they first started. I still don't know who all did well on that first album though, because Timothy Gatlin was kind of like the Andre Simone to Teddy Riley's Prince. And you know exactly what I mean when I say that. And and he could play. He just didn't have he just didn't have the career post. He did have a little bit, and he had one thing that I really liked, but he's just barely a footnote unless you're a New Jack Swing follower. So no, I like what I like about your questions. You're a real Minneapolis head too, because you ask me the stuff that's really obscure that I can appreciate. Only somebody who understood that era. Because when you ask me about the Family's Yes versus Average White Band, I like, oh, that dude was a diehard Minneapolis. And again, it made logical sense from a technical standpoint because of the bass and the drums and the James Brown root in there. Because that's the closest thing that Prince did in a groove that I would say he took the James Brown aesthetic, but then he actually modernized in the way he did that production. And I want to say he probably had David Z in the studio with him too. What's up? What's up? What's up? Good timing, my friend. Good timing. I'm gonna be on here for about an hour, so I got about 40 minutes of good timing. So let's ask them questions and hit that poll question. They got I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be tough. Some about OKC. I don't think they're gonna lose at home. Night to remember because of the vocals. I liked Aura, and Steve Washington did some tight production. But I got to give Night to remember those choruses and those grooves. I mean, it's hard for me to ever go against Leon Silver's production. It really is. So that was a bad dude. They definitely. I like the synth bass too. The boom 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 boom. I like how that kicked in. But Aura had strong had that. It's like they vocalists were like reminding me. She reminded me of like Stacey Lattisaw, and he reminded me of James J.T. Taylor. That's kind of how I heard it. That's what I'm saying. They always anything associated with Slaves bass lines was gonna give you the business. I actually was trying to think who had the heart of funk out of Slave and Cameo in the 80s, if you must know. That was a real debate I had. Cause I mean they had some wicked that production, Steve Washington, all that stuff was stank. That was stank. But Jokic, yeah, he got that work cut out. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. I think OKC gonna be up for it. Denver stands more to lose because you fired your coach and you go all in, and you gotta pretty much make it look like you got to win, because if you don't win, that's a major L, and you don't know how many more options Jokic gonna get, and you lost your coach, and you were riding on an unknown and everything. So they got to, because his legacy's on the line. He was a he was a big size mobile receiver. He was physical. He was nothing nice. It's just that he was stuck with stat pad, Matthew stat pad. But Megatron was, yeah, he was tough. I'm not arguing. You ain't never hear me say it. I just don't put him in my top four receivers ever, but he's one of the baddest, no doubt. Imagine if they'd have had Dan Campbell when they had Barry Sanders and Megatron, put that together, that team wins a couple rings. They just missed out on each other and they didn't have the right. That's all. But he was bad. Oh no doubt. He was physical. And he covered a lot of space. I mean, you really had to. They had some big receivers. Now, what album was that on? I don't think it's forgotten. I think it was on the. give him props for giving love to Megatron. I mean, yeah, because Megatron don't get no love. Not like that. He gets respect. Yeah, okay. 1980. I have to go back and listen to it. It's been a while. Nights at the Table and Onward is what I mainly bump. Obviously, Alligator Woman. Skip the '83 album. Yeah, well, again, because you might you get exposed and the coverage and who you're playing for and who you're with. That's another factor too. You know, sometimes you be on that island. It all depends, and then of course you're asked to take on different tasks. So it all depends on you know. But I'm glad he gave Megatron love. Let me just say that. Megatron deserved it. He was bad. And they had Pyramid too. Pyramid. They had big receivers too. They always had big receivers too. Herman Moore was big. They always played with big receivers. They just didn't win nothing. That's all. That's not what hurt his legacy. But Von Miller back then, I'm gonna tell you something. Easier said than done. Von Miller was no joke. He was almost giving. He was almost making people think that LT and Ray Lewis had became back and reincarnated. And you weren't trying to get your. You weren't trying to get your do rag messed up. He was smashing. No, they weren't gonna win that game. That wasn't why it was. They weren't gonna win that game. I don't think it hurt because of that. What's up, Jay Will? How you feeling? How you doing? I think what hurt him is that he didn't really, he had that. He kind of had a moment, and he didn't really stay. He didn't really progress. I think that's what hurt him. We got some of him. We didn't get all of him. Jamal Murray can do that, but they're gonna need him for Game 7, and it's about time too, because he's been not really. Because I think both teams are flawed. I think I still got Shades at MVP, but I think they both flawed, and I think that they're in two different directions. I think Denver needs it more than OKC, but OKC I think can win it, but Denver needs it more because Jokic's legacy's on the line. He wasn't lying about place to die. That's a fact. No one goes there. They could. I'm gonna say this. Yeah, because they in trouble. They. Patsy Cline got the voice, but Tammy Wynette had the feeling. So I gotta go with Tammy Wynette. But Patsy Cline had the voice though. I mean, one of the purest voices you ever gonna hear. If they win tonight, they will win the series because New York ain't gonna come back from it. And I'm still probably one of the few people that think Boston is clearly the better team. They just gave 2 games away. This ain't like Indiana and Cleveland where Indiana showed me something. New York's had to come back in every game. And they had 2 games they didn't even crack 100, didn't crack 95. So I'm a firm believer Boston plays like they supposed to. I'm just saying. I'm not. I like the Knicks. I don't love them. Brunson got to give away too much. They have to play a punishing, gutted out ball, and I just don't feel they, you know. But they could win. But the Pacers are waiting, and I think that that's gonna be the inevitable. Yeah, Michael Porter Jr. gonna have to do more than that because Aaron Gordon got held under 10. If they come into OKC and play Poochie, they gonna get blowed out. But I like this series though. I like to see them do that a couple more years. If that meant the best team coming out facing Minnesota in the Western Conference Finals, I'm with it. I could be cool with those three batting with the that being the NBA in the West for the next 2 or 3 years because Minnesota got the kind of squad they gonna be there for another 5 years. Denver should be there for another 4 or 5 years, and OKC should be there. So I think that might be your three best teams in the West. I just got a feeling. And that's the way it should be. That's how I look at it. So, oh, Billy Joel. But that's not two of their Lisa songs I like, but Billy Joel. I didn't really care for much of Elton's 80s music onward. Some of the stuff sounded like all sapped out. I mean, Elton John had a catchy sing along, 50s, 60s bop, Tan Pan Alley. I like the vocals on it. Yeah, you say that, but Shohei Atani and Aaron Judge and the hitters are coming though. I mean, you say that there is good pitching though. It's an interesting hybrid right now. Baseball is fun to watch right now. I am not gonna lie. You got people talking. Now, can they keep it that way? I don't know. And again, I don't get excited. You know how it is. Asking me about baseball is like asking about the drafts. I tell you, until I see where you go, I'm not getting excited. Because numbers be looking good, and then when reality sets in, it ain't what you remember. So, but yeah, I like Billy Joel, as that era. But again, they both had their best peaks in the 70s. Of course he did. He was in Frisco. That's where he grew up. He was a big Bonds fan. As a matter of fact, I know if it wasn't for his loyalty to Yankees, he'd have gone back to Frisco. He's been watching Bonds because he's taking his patience now when he hits. He's not so quick to just jump. That's why he's able to get on base. If you're flirting with 400, you obviously been watching Bonds because you're making pitches work. And if you're not afraid to take walks, so keep himself on base. But see, this ain't what I get excited about. Save it for September, October. Okay, I know what he can do now. That might be the zesty remark of the year. I don't think a man wants to, especially a guy that's a pro, where Halliburton is, second straight year in a conference finals, and you're gonna say something like that. That I don't. I know, cause that's how I told you. I'm a Yankee fan. If you're a fan, especially when you're trying to reach upper echelons, save it for money time. Cause that's like the James Harden thing. You get excited, and when it gets to May and June, it's like, where you at? Yeah, I don't really like that comment from Zeke. That's very zesty. I don't, I don't know what that was supposed to mean. Cause I don't see nothing in their games. I think it's because Halliburton, he be acting and playing, saying some stuff in his press conference. I seen him say some stuff. He called himself the mother of the team or some mess he said, but he was talking and just he wasn't saying anything. Oh, Luther and Gregory, because much I did think On Our Own was a good drum track, and I like the harmony that they put there. But who saw Gregory Hines singing like that? Who saw that coming? He hit that note, and that thing hit. That was like, wow, that was a statement. So I think that was. I did like On Our Own, but There's Nothing But Love caught people off guard. No one knew Gregory Hines could sing like that. I mean, he sounded good. And when you sing with Luther, I'm not, and that's no diss to Michael McDonald, Perry LaBelle, but you were singing with Luther Vandross. Come on now, that's Luther's one of the greatest singers ever. He sure did, and he could play bass too. Now I liked him on that cut. I didn't like the other stuff I heard him do. The other stuff he did was weak. He was weak, corny, middle of the road. I saw something he did. Mm. But with Luther, I was like, yeah. I said, if you had about two or three more duet songs and made an EP with that, you might could put your tap dancing shoes away. Oh, I seen all that. I mean, I know about the bunnies. I seen that, but that don't make me think of Caitlin Clark. He corny, yeah. If you want to say he a cornball brother, go ahead, give it that. You want to say he just seemed kind of nerdy and dorky? Fine, fine. But on the basketball court, when he playing, no, no, because I got a feeling that him and Cade Cunningham gonna be challenging Brunson for that clutch player guard position. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And the thing about it is, it's a lot of people in show business. People don't understand that people double up as singers. Let's see, all the singers, comedians want to be singers, and singers want to be comedians. No, no, because his dad and me don't look nothing alike. Yeah, but ain't nobody gonna say nothing about that because Jordan did. Jordan was Jordan, but the stuff about Jordan, that the other stuff is that's the real. You know, the Jordan stuff about that white girl with that had that $5 million. That's the stuff, but that don't never come out because I told you David Stern was the quicker picker upper. He had the broom and the dustpan and a lot of stuff you ain't gonna never ever know about your favorite player and their scandals because it was covered. They did a lot of covering. Jordan was he did that picture with Demi Moore. He was harmless though. He wasn't seen as that kind of brother. I think they moved the ball a little bit, but I don't think they better with him. But I definitely sense that they play a bit more. I hope Minnesota does win it because Anthony Edwards is the face of the NBA right now. That's who they pushing because they're creatures of the moment and they ain't educated. That's why. He's not even close. He's not better than Walt Clyde Frazier, who's got a microphone down there. He ain't better. He ain't with Patrick Ewing. He's had some big moments, but that's no. I like Brunson a lot, and he's given James Dolan. James Dolan couldn't have done it. Oh yeah, I seen no. Well, see with Jordan. I told you about that. Yeah, that girl, but that with the thing with the 88, head over heels. I did like What Is Love, but Head Over Heels was the cut. The synth groove was what I liked. Ewan Frazier and Willis Reed. Now, SGA is, but he gets kind of forgotten. But I'm talking about in the East. I said the East. I'm talking about in the East. Brunson, uh, uh, Cade Cunningham, and Halliburton in the East. I didn't say anything about. I was talking about the East because SGA be running things in the West. Now, Ewan Frazier, Willis Reed, Dave DeBuscher. Deep down, I want to say Bernard King. I really want to say B King because to me, as good as Brunson is, that dude, big body Brunson. He play hard though. Brunson play hard though. I give him his due. He play hard. The rest was trolling the other night. They finally decided to call fouls on him because he be grabbing all the time. They finally got him. But I if they lose, Tibbs got to have his butt on the charcoal for that. Oh, if you're talking about the Halliburton video, it was three of them. There was four in the video. One of them was supposed to be his sister, but there was three that I saw in that last video. No, that don't count. He looks better than Cat so far, cause Cat really ain't had that 30. He had that big game winning shot the other game. Oh yeah, I saw that thing. Cause I be getting all this stuff. I get when I'm doing all my videos and stuff, right? People be sending me stuff, so I be looking at it, and I had that video of him before the season started. I had that one clip that actually came out the first couple weeks of the season. How he spent his summer grinning at 2 in the morning, all cheesing. He had a big old like he been hanging at Paul Pierce's after party, and that's probably why he had kind of a slow start. Because I think Two Raw did a video where he was talking about how he had a slow start to the season. I remember it, and I said, yeah, he had that bunny hangover. He had the bunny hangover. He had Easter, and they got it together though. After the All Star break, they got it going. He tightened up. He tightened up because they definitely peaking at the right time. Yeah, they was out there late. It was was funny. I gotta say Pride and the Passion because if you remember the Lynn drum machine track, sound like another level hole in your head. It had that beat at the start. That's when I first heard it, and I liked it because I liked the storyline of it. Only if she was respected more as a singer, she really put because they had some couple songs on that our third album of hers that could have been bigger. I like that Tamara and the Scene song though too. I mean, but Crying the Passion because I like the program of the Lynn Drum, which had another level holding your head that the way the syncopation was. She didn't want to push that record though. I thought that was her best of the three on Paisley. Didn't have nothing to touch Glamorous Life or Love Bazaar, but I thought it was a bit more cohesive record. But she didn't want to be our solo artist, so that's what happened with that. Mm. Yeah, it was a trip. It was a trip. He out there grinning too. And somebody wrote, I was on where I was. Somebody wrote in the comments that morning said 30 years later it's gonna be a suit. I said, yeah, they cats better be recognizing who you be hanging out with, cause they definitely hold it against you. But I don't know how big his star rise. But yeah, you gotta take that in consideration. The way they suing brothers these days, yeah. Let me ride, cause I like that groove on that. I like the that that Parliament. Yeah. Oh, what you hear was Smokey, but what they talk about maybe criminal. I don't know. They need a bench, and they're gonna need another shooter. They need a Cooper Flag how he rotates. They're gonna need a fourth wheel and two pieces that are legit off the bench. Then they might could be a sixth seed, fifth or sixth. If everybody's healthy, anywhere from third to fifth. I love that, and I like Blueberry Gossip too. But you asking me against acts that I thought had better songs. I liked her voice. Everybody Dance was a bump. And I like what Jesse did with Blueberry Gospel. I had a couple of things I like. It's not that I had no love. She wasn't gonna be Tina Marie. She was catchy. She just wasn't handled the right way. And then she signed that sucker deal with Prince. And then while he was out here talking about how the industry was against him, she had a bad deal with Prince. So she got whiteballed. She really got ran through the ringers. If she ever told the truth. Marjorie Cox, I'm on line one. She never tell the truth. I like both those songs, but I gotta give a nod to Easy because that was catchy. That was catchier. Gin and Juice was tight. Well, I don't know what Coop's got. See, how's it a great situation when you got two guys in their 30s and they're both in ailment and you got no structure? It's only a good structure if they got pieces that can work. And what's gonna happen with Clay Thompson? Blackberry molasses. That's the only thing about Bobby Valentine I gotta give it. And I like the pimping around the world, but I like blackberry molasses. I like that. I'll give him that because I like that guitar. I like that groove on that song, and that's really obscure. That's right where you were born. You barely had said Gaga Goo Goo when that came out. I did like Jaheim though. Could have been something, but he just he didn't have it. I liked his voice. He just didn't have it though. Yeah, I'll give it to Easy. I'm for real because I remember you said how old you are, and I think, oh, what you know about blackberry molasses? That was a cut too. And I'm not big on Bobby Bobby Valentine. Oh, Bobby be chasing anything. Him and Chingy be at that they be at that Starburst committee party. Interesting. Take my breath away. Cause I love the synth run of that song. I love the feel of that. Yaz was tight. I remember Kirk Cameron, the cat on Growing Pains, used to love some Yaz. But I gotta say Berlin. I think Berlin had something with that. I love the harmony of that. That's a good track too. I don't listen to it religiously, and I didn't burn out on it, but I liked it. All right, we got another 30 more minutes because I'm gonna be on for hours. I got to scoot. I got half more hours, so let's keep on rolling. Yeah, Ted, you funny with that one. I won't be on tomorrow, but I will be back on Sunday. Just to keep a heads up. Give myself a break tomorrow. Oh, come on now. Roger and Zap. Come on now. That ain't even fair. That's not even fair. That's not even fair. That's like, how can I make a comparison? I gotta make a fair comparison. Who would I pick on? Who can I say? That's almost like asking me Wilt Chamberlain versus Zubats. I mean, I can like one, but I love the other. I mean, that's because Bounce the Ounce, more Bounce the Ounce was like a standard. That's a classic. That thing alone, that's funky. I listened to it the other day. I was listening to Roger and Zapp the other day, and I like Bismarcky. Just a Friend was cool, was tight. The Vapors. Bismarcky, even though he had did Big Daddy Kane and then writing, he still he is. That's not no anonymous. That's a fact. I like him, but he does have arrested development. He tends to do things. That's why he's on 13 different teams. Now, if people were hating on him because of his shenanigans, I get it. He do. He do. It's one thing to be a big kid. It's another when you just do dumb stuff, and he ends up costing himself because of his. He do because he didn't take it in consideration when he had OKC when Durant left, and that's why people were like, you know, but he is though. That's not a surprise. And that's one of the reasons why I've been kind of indifferent with him. Like I understand his historical placement, what he's done. However, he's been a bit, he can be a bit jarring. Black coffee, cause I'm a heavy D, and I do like Too Short, but black coffee, no cream. Heavy D's one of the most underrated, versatile cats. No, he doesn't have a point. Cause Scotty had opportunity different times, and he signed a bad deal. Now you really are in my mind because that's one of my favorite Phil Collins songs, and he played all the instruments on that track. I think including the horn part. I like the groove to shock the monkey, but Missed Again was I like the drums on that and that horn hit. Bum 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 bum. Missed Again was my cut. I used to wear that song out. Love the chorus. His sad breakup songs were his best songs. I mean, he really had some cold breakup songs. Is in the air tonight. That drum break. Yeah, against all odds. I mean, he break up with you, he gonna write a smash. I kid you not. But Shock the Monkey had a good groove. I like Gabriel's vocals. The former Genesis crew, but I gotta give it to Phil. Missed Again was my cut. I love that horn lick. And that drum hitting his chorus hit on that cut. I liked it. Draymond is reaching because Scotty was always fighting because he signed a bad deal. I can't ever tell someone when you have agents or you have situations and you've been there 10 years in your career and you still ain't learned about what you don't sign. Jordan took a 1 year contract every year, 30 million. 96, 97, 98. That's how he held it over Jerry Reinsdorf. I think low key that's what LeBron got some of that from. Jordan was a good teacher for a lot of players. He knew how to negotiate. All that I can say. Because it took the bridge from Michael Jackson's I Can't Help It. And Lauren Hill produced that. I did like Always on My Mind, but I like all that I can say. I think that's one of her last smooth cuts that I like. I like the way she sung it. She sung it in the Stevie Wonder cadence. He wrote the song with Cedar Green. Cedar Green, I think his ex-wife or girlfriend. But it was I can't help it, and she sounded good on that track. Lauren Hill produced that track, so That's a rarity that someone mentions that you listen to some Mary J. Mm. But I did like the Destiny track. It's like I like Shock the Monkey, but it's just that feel more similar. Yeah. Did you ever see the KFC? Was it the Burger King or was it KFC commercial? You need to go look that one up. Yeah. To answer your question, never. I like the chorus on Never, and I do like Pat Benatar, but Never. That chorus always got me. I like them Wilson sisters. They bad. Oh yeah, it's the KFC bucket with Mary J. You never saw that? Oh yeah. Oh, but yeah, yeah. Now you wouldn't assume it because Mary's so ghetto and ratchet. What she doing? She be walking around with that old auntie wig on her head, and she gets, you know. But yeah, they stopped that commercial, so you may not. You should be able to find it. But it was known in the night. It was a known commercial. Yep. Well, she needed the money. You know. But Mary's a country loudmouth chick sister, so she ain't no sellout. That's what she. They did have her working with. Yeah, I remember that, and that stuff got because he always tried to cross over, and I feel bad for him too, because you may have been arguably the baddest football player ever, and you couldn't sell you. You tried your little braids. No one bought you as a baby who banger. No one gave him no love because he was seen as too corny. They tried. He just never had the appeal. It's a shame too, because on the football field he was charismatic on the field, but it didn't carry off to the cameras. It just he had no personality. He was bland, and that's the sad part, irony of how charismatic he was as a player. That's the sad part. Yeah, he tried. He tried. He had them broke Jermaine Dupri ones. He tried. He tried to put a little glue him on the side. It didn't work. You probably vaguely remember him. He tried. I don't know what phase he was going through. Cause I'm like, man, you ain't got but a half-inch fro. You got a fro puff and you trying to braid that up. I was cracking up. Yeah, we remember. But yeah, it's a shame too, cause that guy, I mean, was incredible as a player. He invented the rack. He sure was. He had a Stevie Wonder going all the way to the back, and he up there trying to throw three strings on each side. That cracked me up. And then he had it hanging out the helmet. That was funny. But yep. Yeah, I say he's pulling a Stevie Wonder. Hmm. But yeah, I remember that. His commercial didn't last long. You probably find it. Mhm. Cats be trying stuff. It wasn't gonna make no difference. He could have had a Barry White perm on his head. They wasn't gonna give him no commercials. He just never was cool like that. You know, it's a sad part too. Suddenly, and I love that drum track because it sounds just like Deja Vu, and I did like Guilty, and that's that. So this is a toughie for me because I like both them songs a lot, but something about Suddenly, I love the chemistry and the tone because I was listening to Suddenly a few times a few years ago. Love that tone, but Guilty was a great song. What do you consider early when you've been in the five Super Bowls and you've been in seven AFC Championship games? I mean, you do know, right? He's already in the half of his career. I mean, they're bound to be a year or two where he stat pads, but you can't hold it against him. I couldn't hold it against him if he just stat pad the next 4 or 5 years because he's already proved himself. He got three rings. He's been to five Super Bowls. It really won't. He will still be top three in my eyes. That's not going to change unless, of course, Lamar Jackson wins a couple rings or Josh Allen wins about three. Lamar needs two. Josh needs three. How lucky is that going to happen? He's been the most dominant quarterback of his era in the generation. So I think he'll win another ring or two. But if he doesn't go 10 without it, and say he pulls a Brady and goes 10 and then he wins one in 11 years, he's already got enough right now where you could just say the guy could walk away right now. First ballot, top three. Stats gonna be there. Wins is there. Impact is there. I wouldn't call this early because the man done what a lot of cats didn't do. You go to you 3-2 at this stage in your career. What else are you expecting? I mean, I think you'll win another ring though. I do. He's the only quarterback that can viably make a argument. Mhm. That's around. Think about it. Burrows can't because Burrow ain't going back. And Burrow's bad. In another era, Jeff Burrow would be bad. And then Josh Allen, I don't know how many more years you're gonna get opportunities. And then Lamar Jackson. So think about it. Yeah, those cats at most will each get one each, but Mahomes had already done the thing. I mean, he's set unprecedented territory. So sometimes you just see things for what they are. And he did peak, oh well, but what a way to do it. 75% saying no, the Celtics aren't better. So I like, okay, that's cool. I know a lot of people hoping that he has peaked though. Thoughts on you should get a chance. You should. I don't see why not. I mean, all you can do is ask for a chance. Ooh, this is a good one. Stepper songs against each other. I got to give the slight edge that I do love that Teddy song a lot, but I listen to Give Me the Night more. I just think Give Me the Night gonna about it, but it's that chorus. It's catchy as I'll get out. Rod Temperton's grooves. It's close though. Cause Somebody Loves You Back is one of my stepper cuts. It's a close one, but I gotta give me the night gets on just a nudge. Cause I don't do draws and ties. I don't do ties. I always gotta pick one. But that's a good battle right there. That's a good mix. If you were a DJ and you play those back to back, good syncopation. Give me the night. I know I've listened to Give Me the Night more. And Somebody Loves You Back I listen to quite a bit, but that's a good battle. All right, now let's keep these conversations going. I hope we'll get some more likes up in here, which is feel free. The polls are going good. I think I'll be on. What do you think about that? Good question. It was only good for Golden State because they gave them a chance to get to another round. Barry White in a blowout, and I'll get to that in just a second. He's older, and he was trying to pump fake and get free throws because he's not an explosive offensive force. I'm gonna say this again. What happened in the bubble? That was the runs he made were great, but he's not an alpha one. He's meant to be a strong sidekick. And what happened is without Curry, he got exposed. He doesn't score at high volume. So stop acting like he's a 25 to 30 point a night man. He's not. It's his defense, his strong rebound. If you get like a 27-6 game from him, but he's not that bubble, that Rachel Nichols in that bubble, that was not that's like he was on something. Yeah, Barry White in the blowout. Because I couldn't stand that because called to say I love you. It's corny. And that sad part, that was part on Songs of Kid Life was an outtake. But Barry White, that was stanky. That's still, I listen to Ecstasy. Hero, he helped him, but he needed Jimmy Butler. They weren't used to it. Okay. When Your Mind wins. And I think Andre may have had a hand in that. He may have had a hand in that. But When Your Mind wins. But I do like Kelly's Eyes though. I like the synth on it though. But When You Remind was like Prince's first, what I call really good song to me. His first really good one. And it really, I like that rawness of it. I wasn't because I knew that he had been spent. If you're a Heat fan, you know he wasn't going to turn into that. He, in a co starring role with Steph, can give you moments. But by himself, I already know. He also had a hand in Uptown. He had a hand in Less Work. He had a hand in Why You Won't Treat Me So Bad. He had a hand. He played on the first album. He was involved on and something on the Times too. You know, I already know because you gotta remember him and Prince were like Siamese twins. I mean, they were a lot alike. Morris wrote that song though. Prince just exchanged it to get them the demo. It was either 10 grand or you get to be with the time. That was the deal. And of course, Morris, when he played drums on a lot of those Prince songs too, because you can always tell Prince is drumming from. Prince wasn't the most distinctive drummer. His programming was off the chain, but his drums were pretty basic. Morris played. Rumored he's on the drums on Yours, but he definitely was on Let's Work and the long version. International Lover is him playing drums. Darling Nikki's him playing drums. I want to say Love or Money. When Prince came out and said he was the greatest drummer in the world, he said that some years before he passed. He didn't go into totality. Morris was more than just the drummer. They worked together on a lot of stuff. That's why Morris will never tell the whole truth because you know, they worked together a lot. I could always tell because I listen when I used to listen to Prince's music. I don't debate about the keys and the guitars and the bass parts, but the drums was pretty obvious because he didn't have a really distinctive drummer until he got Michael Bland, until he got that kind of sound that he wanted. Then it became routine. But I could always tell when he had different people playing drums on this stuff. But his programming, you knew it was his stuff, all the way. But yeah, Morris did. Yeah, I know. And Lisa Coleman co-wrote the stick. That was her vamp on that. There was somebody else that was associated, but it was predominantly Prince and Mars. And Lisa Coleman did do the vamp. And Dez Dickerson co-wrote "Cool" because that was his phone number. Something that wasn't. No, it was 779-311. No, but he did co-write "Cool." He had a hand in that, and I think he had a hand in after high school because had that new wave thing. So it was a couple of things. And Prince had to have those kind of figures touched up because what's happening. Because then it would have not sounded so much like him, was his direction. But Dez played different than Prince. So there were certain things I noticed in tone. Dez's guitar playing, he really had that rock wave thing going. It was real noticeable. Yeah, what's happening? MH, how you doing? Yo, what's up? 60% saying no. Levi G, what's happening? Thank you for coming through. It's a good way to spend a Friday. I'm gonna be up for another 12 minutes. I got 12 more minutes to go. Like I said, I'll be back on. I'm gonna be here for another 12, 15 minutes today. Coming back on Sunday, taking tomorrow off. So if you watch my videos, feel free to give me comments on that because you can definitely check out the videos. Because the refs decided to actually blow the whistle against him because he's always grabbing and reaching. That's why he's too slow. He don't really defend, and you can catch him trying to reach. They bodied him, and that's what it was. And he couldn't keep up with Jalen. He couldn't keep up with Brown. That's all that was. Brunson is always reaching and grabbing. He should always have about 3 fouls per half. And I still think they need another piece because they just not that good. I mean, not where I'm buying them. If you let them stick around, he get hot, yeah. But they got to do a lot of work. They work a lot there. You should check out. I saw it. I saw him do a rehearsal, but I didn't see it with them. But I saw it though. Cause I did see him do something, but it was recent than those. But was this one the recent one? Cause I saw one with some the other band members he had. I was hoping he'd do What Are We Doing Here. That was the one I liked too. And Lipstick Lover was funky for him. Lipstick Lover was tight. He just never connected as a solo artist. His stuff as a producer, now that's another story. Him and Jody were almost unstoppable. In fact, if it wasn't for Jamie Lewis and Janet, okay, that's why, yeah. Wasn't for with Jam, that him and Jody were making magic. He was tough as a producer. The stuff he did with Adam Ant. Hmm. He proved it. Satisfaction. Yep. That third album was tight. The AC record had some songs. Book of Love was kind of strange, but I liked it though. I wonder who he was talking about in that song because that was a strange cut. We all like to dance electric. Vacation had that cold synthesizer break, didn't it? Vacation. Yeah, he was synth out on that one though. Mhm. Yep. You remember the same one. And then he didn't come out with a record for like forever and a day after that. That's the sad part. Yeah, he started. I'm sure you probably heard he just started getting royalty checks for "Do Me Baby" in 2014. Him and Prince had a strange dynamic because I think it was when his mother was in the hospital. I think the story goes that was the first time he went to Paisley Park, and it was like in the 2000s. It's a strange dynamic. Yeah, when you mentioned them songs off that album, I said, yeah, you definitely, because that album went glad bag. Only diehards and people know about it. He never was no seller, but when he worked with others, that's where the meal money was. Satisfaction was good. Okay. Everybody, yeah, hope everybody's still around. It's getting quiet again. Okay, I got about 8 more minutes. They did one day $100 yeah, as a producer, but he had to pay it back for child support, which was crazy. That was a whole nother story. She had him on a hard copy or something. I remember the old episode, but they got cool. They cool now. They cool now because they did something together. What's up? What's up? You catch me in my last 10 minutes. I've been on for an hour. I will be back on Sunday though, but I gotta go just about 10 more minutes. Sorry that I catch you so late. Yeah, it was. I got 10 minutes. We could talk for 10. Yeah, cause Andre. The funny thing, she had the baby with Leon Silvers and then Andre. It's crazy. Basically industry. Basic and two bass players too. Ain't that something? What are the chances? It is cool. I don't know about her and Leon, but I know her and Andre are cool. Oh, I know what it was though. I know what it was. Andre wasn't claiming her though, cause that "Don't You Want Me" video. They did that video together. Well, depends what the question was. Refresh my memory. The "Don't You Want Me" video. He was all. They were playing like coy, but in real life, she came on. Was it one of them tabloids and said that he was acting like he was ghosting her? That was crazy for a while. Oh, I liked It Feels Good. I listened to that one more, but I did like Johnny Kemp. But I did like It Feels Good. I was big on the Tonys, and they got better with each passing record. It's a shame they didn't get to work no more, because I started liking them more and more with each record. I used to listen to records, but Johnny Kemp was cool. They took him out for reasons I still don't know. Yeah, I got another 6 minutes before I go, and I did say I'm going back on Sunday and give myself a day off tomorrow because I'm going to be out. But I got a lot of videos lined up, so if y'all want to watch and give comments, feel free. There will be videos galore because it's comfort. It's kind of like a dirty diaper. If no one don't change it, you ain't gonna move it. Somehow you get seduced by it, and somehow it feels comfortable. And if you're asking me because of the puffy Cassie thing, she liked that lifestyle too much. She got used to it. It started to make sense. She didn't want to go back. People will tolerate a lot of stuff if they don't have to go back to their past life. If I put money on you and where you wearing some nice perfumes and you riding these cars, you know, oh man, why you got to do this one? I'm taking mechanical emotion. They do. Take Me With You is the better song as far as because it's more because to do with Prince and stuff and the arrangement of the music. I like the drums. It was whimsical. It's like one of the best songs they make around the world today because it really didn't fit Purple Rain. But Mechanical Emotion was a groove. I like the synth on that one. They do. But let me just say this real quick, Charlene. Look at Hollywood. That's dysfunction. Look at the industry. You go to award shows where there's no pervs and all kinds of freaky deaky going on, and you got to sit there and grin on TV. You got to sit there and smile. You got to smile for the camera. You're going to the Diddy party. You're gonna grin. You got to take that, take this, take that, take that. Think about it. So there you are. It's right there in front of you. Hollywood is dysfunction because you're selling yourselves on hype and exploitation. And I don't know how much more dysfunction you can get with that. You're being auctioned. Just like the entertainment, all forms of entertainment, sports world, politics, it's all dysfunction. It's just that you have to smile and grin and bear. Yeah, that's a good. The thing about what Take Me With You, I like the bass, I like the groove of it, but I liked it better in the movie. And he played it so much live that people got tired of it. But he did, and that's why they'll never have him hosting the show again. Because they like, you're lucky to be here. We think you're a third tier comedian. You got a cool name, but you ain't that deep. So you guys to, you know. Hmm. So that's what's up with that. I'll make it 10 more minutes before I go. It's all good. 64% say no. I'll make it 10 more. I'll make it even. Yeah, another 10 more. But yeah, you got to smile and grin through it. That's Hollywood, yo. That's how it is in the sports world. Cats got to smile through it. They make you wear make. They make you wear makeup. They make you do things on cue. And if you don't do it on cue, well, they go get someone to replace you. So there was something that was gonna come about, but I can't think of it right now. I'm definitely on the topic burning today, though. All right. Now, come on now, let me talk, cause I'm gonna see if anybody can come through. And if you want anything to say, I've already kind of done drifted, so I'm gonna give it another. See if anybody wants to say anything. Polls are good questions. Glad we got the views here. Just seeing people, hit the polls. Appreciate the poll questions. Hit the likes up. That's the key. Hit them likes up. 64% saying no. That's still pretty close though. That's still pretty close though. Chakadelica, come on now. And the title alone, and I like the groove. It had a nice haunting theme to it. Gotta stop messing about. It had that new wave thing, but it was kind of like quirky. It sounded like a B side. It sounded like a throwaway, but Shakadelica kind of had a nice rip to it. But it sounded like he was going through something when he did it, though. Not only just a diss to Jesse Johnson, but it sounded like he was definitely with the chameleon and the whole. He was on something. The lights are on and nobody's home. Guy, because I like the original by Third World better than any of them. But Heavy D did do a good version. I mean, I like they did do. He did. If anybody could try to do it in hip hop and pull it off, it would be Heavy D and them. But I like guys I like better. It's hard for me to argue against that guy debut album. They hit on all cylinders though. But and they work together, so but I like was catchy. It had more of the pocket that I like. But now that we found love was a big crossover thing. Hmm. So yeah. Okay. All right, you gotta come and see what we're working with. hair in a blowout. Come on now, don't do that. Prince doing them rockabilly, it was Chuck Berry, Little Richard numbers. They cool for what they were, and sometimes the B sides were cool, and some of they were corny. But she's always in my hair in a blowout. In fact, I think that was the best song on Around the World in their whole project because that song was gangster. Written about Jill Jones, as you know. Fight the power. Yeah, I did like Salt and Pepper. Let's talk about sex, but Fight the Power for me. They Chuck D and them were in their peak in the prime. They hit it hard. Hit it hard. Just the way I like it. Hit it hard. How come you don't call me no more in a blowout? I like Pink Cashmere because I like the whole synth vamp and I want to say whatchamacallit did the string he used them on Parade and also but the Jacksons used them too. You know what I'm thinking about. I can't think right now. The strings sucked on that family. I don't know. They were jarring on Nothing Compares to You. But Cashmere, I like the way it started off. I like the way they work. But How Come You Don't Call Me Anymore was his Sammy Davis Jr. Scotch and Henny on the piano. That was one of the most rawest forms of him. That was very raw of him. And that B side could have stood tall against a lot of songs on the 1999 project, especially as a slow jam. It was cold. I still say he did his best production in '82 as a producer. I will always say that. Thinking about who did the strings though. Love of Money. I never cared for Peach. Thought it sounded like a third distant cousin of Cream. It had a nice little bounce to it, but it didn't really move me though. I like Love of Money though. Yeah, I can't cheat right now because I wanted to go look up who did the strings on that's the only thing I liked about Cashmere a lot. The guitar part was cool, but it was the strings though. But I was mixed with the strings though. Mixed. His B sides were better from probably up until '85. Shockadella was an exception, but I liked up to '85. Yeah, it's Prince. Prince and the Revolution for Love of Money, and Peach is Prince '93. That's what he's talking about. He sped up his voice for Love of Money. I like the long version too, and I heard the unreleased version because he dissed Morris Day in the longer. No, he went real black on the unedited, the unreleased version, which is a trip. If you ever heard that one, that was a trip. Oh, this is a battle right here. This is a good battle. This is a good one. Because the Mayday and the Lynn drum machine and the bass on Little Red Corvette made that song way more tolerable than the original. It did wonders for it. I ain't gonna lie. I don't even really the vamp, the synth, the Betty Davis size synth vamps that he does on the original. You know, it's cool pop, kind of American bandstand. But the long version with the bass, the Mayday, that's me all the way. Tore that joint up. Cause I remember I was in a car ride with the neighbors once, and that came in the. I was in the back seat and I had my blank tape. I said, "Oh, I wanted to get home and tape that so bad, cause that hit hard." But another level holding here for the W. Come on now with the horns, and then the bass, the bass line hit hard. Hmm. That's when his extended versions were worth, cause he funked it up. He really added something to it. He took that Bill Withers, "Get Your Foot Down on the Rock." That was bumper. I still will bump that. That's one of the last long versions of songs I got excited that he put out. I did like la 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 hee hee ha ha with the drums and the groove, but you know, Blue Red Corvette with the Mayday and the bass and the Lindrum, that was chunky. Hey, he put that on the album. I would have said Blue Red Corvette because that was tight. He could have put that long version on the record and cut Let's Pretend We're Married down to about 4.5, and probably made the lyrics like a B side. In hindsight, just saying. So anyway, I got one more minute. I'm gonna call it a day. It's been fun though. I like how you think, KJ, though, because you definitely take it back to all that. Mm-hmm. Whatever people understand about that extended version, that was one of the things that made his stuff pop too. Sometimes the regular versions were all milky and pop and soft, and then when he decided to add some groove to the remix, because I'll tell you like this: if he emphasized his extended versions more, him and R. Kelly would have had a battle for best of the remixes. Because I think you could make a case. Blue Limousine, because I like the synth better. I like the vocals on Wet Dream, but I like Blue Limousine better. The groove. But I don't like nothing on that Apollonia 6 record, though. That's the sad part. A Million Miles, I Love You, I like that. But that's because that bass line remind me of Rick James. That's why. That bass and that horn riff definitely have a strong nod to Rick James. That has a Rick James vibe. That's what a Rick James Prince collab would have sounded like. A Million Miles, I Love You to me. One of the few times I go against Last Night in the Pips because it takes a certain song, so I gotta give the fifth dimension on that one. It's one of the few times I usually don't go against Gladys and the Pips. Usually not. No, I wasn't that fond of the Apollonia Six record. I like some of the musical ideas, but she sounded horrible. I think Jill Jones did some ghosting on there, but it made me cringe at him as a producer because then I thought about in Purple Rain when Morrison was fluting the tape said, "Fine as she is, she ain't got know how to sing." I said, "Yeah, a lot of his lines in the movies turn out to be reality." Aquarius, which is probably one of the best songs ever. Up, up and away. You gotta listen to them. Do your homework. Just go listen to them. That's the best thing I can tell you. They don't sound like nothing that you heard, especially for a black group, because their harmonies was tight. They work with Willie Hutch, who also co-wrote Jackson 5 stuff like "I Want to Be Where You Are," and they had a distinctive vocal tone. Marilyn McCool, Billy Davis, nice. I love their harmonies. That's what Dionne Warwick would have probably been like if she was on a solo artist and she sung with the Fifth Dimension. I'm going with Three Dog Night, but I did like that Guess Who cut though. All right, I think we're gonna call it a day right about in just a minute. Time for one more thing before I go. Appreciate everybody that came through though. Thank you much. As I said, I will be back on Sunday. So look for me. And if you don't find me on here, friend me on Facebook, send me a message or something like that. But I will be here on Sunday around probably around the same time. I do love my life. Go ahead with your own life. Leave me alone. I gotta rank them in that order. It's close though between Michael and Billy Joel. I like Leave Me Alone. That was a tight. The synth. The synth. Appreciate you, KJ. Appreciate you immensely. Touche. Use the truth. Salt and Pepper song. I liked the groove, but it didn't really go nowhere. You know. But I love the energy of Billy Joe backed up with my life. I thought he was in his pulse. He was in his bag at the time. And Michael, had he retired after Leave Me Alone, it's close. My life was more catchier. Leave Me Alone was a strong. I like the musicality that Michael used on it. I like the drums on it because he had a certain, I like the pulse of it. I think they both tight, and then Salt and Pepper got sitting last third. Well, I appreciate that though. Yeah, well, because you asked the stuff that there are people who, especially amongst our own peers, who don't talk like that. They really don't. They really don't because you gotta remember something. I mean, 808s and the program and sampling and looping took over, and there's a whole generation of folks that they stopped caring once they moved on from, say, they went from Michael Quincy and Gap Band and Kill the Game cameo and Prince and the whole thing, and then Jammin' Lewis, and then we get to LA Babyface, then we get to Teddy Riley, and get to R. Kelly. So Devontae Swing, Kills, Devontae. See, what I'm getting at is that there was an era that stopped with the R&B. You know what I mean? So everything Joe and Byron, but it stopped with the R&B. So hip hop producer, took over. So there's not a lot of that left unless you go back old school. That's a reality because most people they don't really talk about it no more because that whole era got side picked out by hip hop. So that's what happened, and it's unfortunate just talking about music because again everything comes down to what they remember. Me too. Me too. That's a lost art because again, and then everything became who was the producer, who wrote the songs, and then and then you get to Dark Child, who was marginal, homogenized, and Pharrell, and all that. So and I didn't even mention McFoster and Elroy, and you had some teams, but let's keep it 100. R. Kelly was dominating in the '90s after Teddy, and Babyface was up there dominating too. So those two were top dogs, and you had a few others, but that's where we've been. And of course, everybody was competing with hip hop, so that's what ended up happening, and that's where we are. So, but anyway, it sure is, and that's a lost art in itself because there's people that don't understand the totality of just understanding how to create. That's a lost art. We don't get to. We don't get that no more. Okay, I'll answer this before I go. I can't answer a question when I haven't seen the kid play on a professional level. And you're also asking me about a kid who played college basketball, who was a teen. Luca played with grown men when he's 15, 16. So all I will say this though, it's interesting if you do the imagery of white players playing for Dallas. You go from Dirk, Luca now to Coop. That's interesting because you can't get that nowhere else. That's interesting when I think about that in this day and age. Donna Ross, because that song definitely hits them. Okay, so now we didn't cover all that though. And we gonna gonna call it a day though. That makes no difference. It's about how he fits in the system. Of course, he's gonna be more coachable because he's a fresh cat. He's only seven. He's 18, 18 years old. I think I'm gonna go with Willie. The Platters. I like the harmony just a little bit more. Okay, we good now. I will be back on Sunday, and I got plenty of videos Anybody wants to connect, hit me up. I doubt I will make even a cameo tomorrow. Doubt it. Because I got stuff to do. But definitely back on Sunday. Peace, the best. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. Appreciate everybody that came through. KJ, especially them questions. Great to see you. Tish, Charlene, Jay Will. Trolls weren't too bad today, but they were noticeable. Great questions, great topics. Let's keep it going. We're going to do this some more. Appreciate you.